Hey guys, just wanted to do a new video on my updated GoPro settings that I use these days. I did do a video about this a while ago, but it was a bit dodgy, and a couple of things have changed since then. So I'll just quickly run through the settings I use on the GoPro Hero 7 Black, and also what settings we use on the old Hero 4 Session. So obviously these settings aren't going to be perfect for every single usage scenario out there, but these are what I use for for doing the dirt bike videos and stuff like that. So it's what I've found to be the best for me. It's probably a good baseline for you guys to start at if you're doing the same sort of thing, but more than likely you'll want to change a couple of the settings from what I use. One of the biggest ones that I feel personally makes a huge difference to these cameras is the white balance setting. If you leave that on automatic, you just don't get really good results. So I always set it manually on my cameras. It's an action camera. 99% of the time it's being used outside in the sunlight, or daylight at least. You don't need to have that white balance changing all the time. I just find that it's very inconsistent, especially on these GoPros. So yeah, I just set it and forget it. Even for indoor use and stuff like that, at the manual setting it's still fine. But anyway, I'll get to that and I'll show you some examples of why we like to set that white balance to manual. So the first thing you probably want to do is connect your GoPro app on your smartphone to your camera, unless you've got a newer or a screen on the back of your GoPro that you can change the settings with. I'm just going to use the app settings as an example because it's a bit easier for you guys to see. So yeah, if you're connecting to your camera with your phone, make sure your wireless connections are turned on in the camera. Obviously, for most of the GoPros, it's going to look like that. For the session cameras, that's the setting you want there. So then you'll go into your app. You want to make sure that you're on video mode because that's obviously what we're going to be using mostly with our cameras. So that's just set by swiping those bottom buttons there. You can go into camera mode and time lapse and all that stuff, but we just want to set it onto video mode, and then we'll hit the little gear icon there to go into the settings. I'll just go through some of these settings quickly because obviously you guys will know what resolution you want to record in and stuff. So basically a 16:9 aspect ratio we use for widescreen. I record in 1080p. You guys, you might want to record in 4K or 2K or whatever. We use 60 frames a second so that you can still use hyper smooth on the Hero 7 Black. If you go up too high with the FPS, you can't use hyper smooth. So yeah, we find that 1080/60 is a pretty good balance between quality and battery life. So and I was using Super View on the field of view for a little while, but I found that wide's probably a little bit better for general sort of use. But that's just a matter of personal taste, whatever you like, whatever you find's better. You guys might like Super View, or even some of the guys use the narrow field of view, which gives you less of a fisheye effect. But I find I do prefer the wide angle myself. Now stabilization, obviously have that on. Low light off. Basically low light just adjusts your frame rate for low light situations. Generally we're out in daylight, so we don't need to worry about that too much. Definitely recommend to leave that turned off. Short clip, leave that turned off. Obviously Pro Tune, turn that on. Definitely turn on Pro Tune on the GoPros. Gives you a higher bitrate videos, which better quality, and you get all these other settings to play with. Not that I change too many of them, but definitely turn it on anyway. Shutter speed I'll leave on auto. Exposure compensation I'll leave that to 0. You guys might want to change it to darken or lighten the image a bit. That's up to you. ISO min and max. I leave mine on 100 minimum and 800 on maximum. But yeah, if you're doing a lot of low light stuff, you might want to bump up that ISO limit to maybe 1600 or something. But generally, as I say, for daylight use, the ISO is not really going to go much above 1 or 200 anyway. So those settings aren't too important. White balance is the big one. On the Hero 7 I set it to 5000 Kelvin. Depending on what model camera you have, you may not have 5000. 5500 is a pretty good option as well, but just play with it and see what looks best to you. Now I'll roll some footage here and just show you guys what the difference is and why we set this white balance to manual.
Yeah.
I think we go through that gate. Then
Yeah, yep.
So yeah, I don't know guys, you see much of a difference there? It looks pretty obvious to me. Just the colours really pop and are sort of more true to life with that white balance set manually. And I think I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I'm pretty sure that GoPros, when they're setting their automatic white balance on the fly as you're recording, it really depends on what you're looking at. If you're seeing a lot of green like we do out in the bush, greens and browns, it tries to overcompensate that by adding more of a blue tone to the footage, and that's why you end up with that bluey sort of unrealistic looking color tone to your footage. So yeah, I think definitely setting that white balance manually to either 5000 or 5500K or thereabouts, you're going to get much better results. Anyway, that's the white balance. Sharpness, depending on your camera, I got this. I'll leave this set on medium. When it's on high, it's just a bit too sharp. I think with the session cameras, you only get 2 settings, on or off. Leave that on if that's the case. But with the 7, go for medium. See how you like it. For color, unless you're doing color grading yourself afterwards while you're editing, just leave it on GoPro Color. That's the easiest option, and I use it too. It does a good job. Audio Pro Gen, I'll leave that off. The wind noise setting here, I'm sort of still playing around with that a bit. The last ride I did, I set it to stereo, so that was no wind reduction, and it does have better audio quality coming through. You can set that to auto if you want, but I find that it chops and changes a lot between mono and stereo, and it just, yeah, it's not real good. So yeah, next ride I'm going to try it set on wind only, and if that's good enough, I'm just going to leave it on that. Voice control, I'll leave that off. It's kind of a battery killer, but if you use that feature, leave it on. Beeps, I'll leave them on so I can hear when the camera is starting up and stopping. Blinks, I'll leave them on too so I can see when it's actually recording. Quick capture, I'll leave that turned on. That just lets you just start recording without turning the camera on first, so it's just one touch, start, stop recording. Default mode video, of course. I have mine set to turn off automatically after 5 minutes. Screensaver after 1 minute. Auto lock, I have that turned on so that if I'm using the camera handheld sort of deal, I don't need to worry about accidentally pressing the screen on the back. It won't change any of the settings or anything if it's automatically locked. LCD brightness, that's just a personal taste thing. I leave that on 50%. Landscape lock, that just stops the camera from automatically detecting if it's upside down or whatever. So whatever orientation you're using the camera, if you're using it up the right way, then obviously put it up. If you mount the camera upside down, put it down, or you can leave that on auto too if you want. I have the GPS turned off because I don't use that feature. It obviously drains battery as well. Language, blah blah blah. NTSC, really we should have it set on, the video format should be set to PAL in Australia, but I prefer NTSC because you can get 60 frames a second instead of the 50 that PAL lets you have. And video compression, that's another one depending on your editing. It's a new thing in the Hero 6 and 7. I'll have it set to HEVC. I won't go into that here, but yeah, pretty much probably just leave it on the default, whatever your camera came with. It's always good to set the date and time on your camera, so you if you've got multiple cameras recording, you can easily sort all your footage into chronological order, which is real handy when you go to edit it. And that's pretty much it for the Hero 7. I'll just quickly touch on the settings here on the Hero 4 session. Again, just 1080, 60 wide field of view. Pretty much everything else is the same. It doesn't have 5000K white balance, so we use 5500K on this camera. GoPro color again, with the ISO limit, I use 400 on this camera. I'm not sure why I set that, but yeah, it doesn't really matter as long as you don't go too low with that. Sharpness, as I said, with this camera it's on or off, so we go on. EV comp 0 again. Then you've got your photo settings and stuff for the Hero 4. Yeah, and the rest of that stuff's pretty much irrelevant. So covered all the important ones, and obviously I'll reiterate one more time about how important I think that white balance setting is. If you haven't tried setting it manually, give it a go, see how you like it. I think you'll be impressed. It's really easy to do, as you've seen here. If you guys have made it this far through the video, good on you. You're doing pretty well. I hope it's been of some help to some of you guys out there. And yeah, big thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next ride bed. Cheers.